Okay, so now we are going to introduce our lovely, awesome, super cool interns that have been doing really cool work so far this term. So if you guys can turn on your cameras so that I can introduce all of you and pass it over to Mike, that would be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for coming. We do have 3 interns here. I'm going to we'll just kind of go around the room here and give everybody a chance to introduce themselves. And then we will open it up for questions. So while they're introducing themselves, if you have a question, go ahead and type it into your chat. Don't click submit yet. You can raise your hand and we'll go through and we will get through as many questions as we possibly can in this next 45 minutes. So we're going to go around the room here, and Chivalry is not dead yet, so we're going to start with Kimberly.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me and welcome to the students. Congratulations on this step you guys are taking by doing NCAS. Congratulations on that. So I guess I can introduce myself if that's okay. So everybody can start asking questions in a bit. So my name is Kimberly Ventura, and I am a student at Houston Community College, but I am also co-enrolled with Texas A&M in the Engineering Academy. I am working at Johnson Space Center on site. I work with a structural division. So far, I'm working in a couple of projects, but I guess I could just generalize. I'm working with Viper, working with polymers, plastics or windows, as well as working with lunar dusting testing. That's pretty cool. So I entered NCAS in spring of 2022, and I finished on fall 22. I did mission 1 and then I did mission 2. I was actually Gemini Navy for my team. So whoever's in Gemini Navy, please keep rocking the name. I don't know what questions you guys have for me.
All right, so let's go ahead and let's jump to our next person. We'll have everybody introduce themselves, and then we'll just go through the questions. And we'll just kind of, again, just rotate through the questions. You know, somebody has something else they'd like to weigh into, that's great, but then we can get through as many questions as possible. So, Michelle, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Wow, this is really full circle for me, being on the other end here. I see Kimberly, you're nodding your head. So for introductions, my name is Michelle Quiñones. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico. I was raised in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I participated in NCAS in fall of 2020. I went to Mercer County Community College in West Windsor, New Jersey, and I'm currently attending the New Jersey Institute of Technology in Newark. I am a senior, and I'm pursuing a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, and I'm currently interning at Marshall Space Flight Center. I am in the structural dynamics division, so basically my project involves vibrating structures into the point of failure, which I find to be very fun. So that is my intro for now, and I'll save the questions for later. Thank you.
Sorry. All right, Eric, if you would please introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. My name is Eric Arias Gonzalez. I'm from California. I went to school at Cerritos Community College. I joined NCAS fall 2020, I believe. So my very first year at community college. Currently, I'm interning at Wallops Flight Facility in Virginia. My project has to do with creating 3D CAD models of integration and testing facilities here. Since Wallops Flight Facility, their main focus is shooting sounding rockets or rockets. Rockets are shot from this location.
All right, thank you. All right, so we're just going to kind of go around the room here with our first question. So we'll just go in the same order. So we're going to pass this question over to Kimberly. So Mohammed, if you would go ahead and hit submit, as well as Edwin. So we'll do Mohammed's question first and then Edwin's. And like I said, we'll go in the same order. That way our interns can kind of see them. Gives you a little bit of a chance to get prepared here. So try to make sure I'm not missing something here. So Mohammed, did you have a question? Edwin, if you'd go ahead and hit enter as well, that'd be great. So our question for Kimberly here. So what are the difference between App Academy and these other, I'm sorry, I'm not exactly sure what this is saying here. What's the difference between App Academy and these other programs?
I think I can jump in here. I think App Academy is a separate STEM engagement that you might find on the STEM Gateway interface, but this is specifically about internships. Unless, I don't know if any of the interns have any other insights to App Academy, but it doesn't qualify as an internship, so it's not involved in this aspect.
Awesome, thank you. All right, so let's go ahead and have Isaiah, if you would type yours in. And we have Edwin's question is, do you work with the Air Force on some of your projects? And do said projects need a security clearance?
So thank you for your question, Edwin. And unfortunately, no, I do not work with Air Force or any military bases. We do definitely get some confidentiality in some aspects, especially with Viper stuff, some future programs that unfortunately I cannot speak of, but programs that are on the way to be a go flight, what we call it. Definitely we do need clearance first, but unfortunately I do not work with the Army or anything, but I do know that there's some divisions that they do work with them very closely, and they do hire people with a military background. I actually had a friend from NCAS who was in the military academy, and his name was Nathan, but he was actually in what we call L Space Academy. It's another academy very similar to NCAS, and he actually got an internship with Bowen. So.
All right, thank you. All right, Isaiah and Ashley, if you would please put your questions in. I will address Nikolai, New Jersey. We have a lot of students who come from New Jersey. In fact, Lisa and I spent a week last summer out there helping to run one of the programs out there. So very high number of people from New Jersey. All right, so from Isaiah, what activities did you participate in community college that you believed helped you gain an internship at NASA? And what do you think gave you an edge in gaining the internship?
Do you mind if I answer that one? So is it Isaiah? Yes. So I thought the reason that I'm here today is definitely NCAS. It was first NCAS that led me to the Space Academy, that led me to my future internship, and then now to NASA. And what was really important was at that time, my advisor, I was part of the engineering club. So my advisor sent out an email letting us know of opportunities. So what is the most important thing is that you make sure that you're connected. Make sure you're connected to professors, to peers, to your advisors. You never know who's going to send you that opportunity that at the time you might think, maybe I'm not ready for this, but you won't know unless you try, right? And that's exactly what happened to me, and that's why I'm here. I was part of the engineering club that gave me the information I needed, that opened the opportunity, that window, that door, that led me here. So that's important.
Thank you, Michelle. So if we can have, I'm not sure who this is, Justice, if you would go ahead and put your question in. We do have a question from Ashley. I'm going to answer the last one first here. So the fall deadline for the JPL internship, Jessica, if you would be willing to put the website into, I lost my screen. If you'd be willing to please put the website for the JPL internships into the chat so they could see those. I have to restart my screen here. So our question from Ashley is, still confused about the enrollment piece for STEM engagement. What would it look like to have an internship from 8 to 5, 5 days a week, and also be in school full time? I'm just wondering how others have managed.
I don't mind taking this one over. So it really just depends on your internship. I know other interns here at Wallops that do 8 to 4 or 8 to 5, but they only work every 2 weeks. They have a Friday off. Or I do 5 times a week where I do 8 to 4, and those are my 8 hours, my 40 hours a week. I remember also when I was applying and getting interviewed, I was still in school at the time, and they said that it's possible for me to do part-time here at Wallops and also go to school in the afternoons. I just found it difficult because there's a time zone difference. I'm 3 hours ahead than California. So it really just depends on the opportunity, your mentor, your project, your center. So you won't really know until you start having those conversations with people.
All right, thank you. Lauren, if you'd go ahead and type your question in. Our question from Justice: what is each of your ultimate career goals?
I guess this is a question that we can all three answer and just give a little bit of each other. Personally, and I'll be honest with you, I do plan to potentially work at NASA, so this is literally my path. But definitely get your degree first, your bachelor's degree, and if you can think of getting a master's, that will be very helpful. Something that I have noticed that the master's is the new bachelor in the agency. So the more you have under your belt, the more equipped you are, and the more you bring to the agency, the more they're willing to work with you and keep you around. So that's something that you have to see for the future and for yourself, to be honest.
And then for myself, I completely agree with that. I learned that being here, I already knew coming in as an intern, there was a lot that I was not going to know. But then seeing how skilled these people are here, how many accomplishments they have, it makes you just want to do more, maybe go for that master's after I get my bachelor's. For me specifically, I have an interest, and this started mostly in NCAS, because NASA, first of all, was never on my radar. I didn't know this was possible. I'm a first generation college student, so I had no idea. So it was just that first opportunity that got me interested in space. And now I have this passion and this interest in aircraft and spacecraft. So most likely in my future, definitely at NASA, and definitely something involving aircraft for me specifically.
For me, so I originally wanted to go into the automotive industry. I always loved cars. Growing up, I wanted to work, on a Formula One team, see, my project out there and, race. And then I went to community college. I did NCAS. I thought it was interesting. Another opportunity came out called Micro G. It was a design challenge. I went to JSC and the MBL to present my project. I saw these other creations made by other schools and universities and everything. And then I remember that my project, like my project lead, she was a professor. She said, "Oh, you'd be great for these opportunities. NASA gives internships to community college students." So I just applied, and now I'm here. I'm seeing rockets, planes, balloons, all types of things. So I think for me, it's still up in the air since I've been overwhelmed with a lot of different things recently. But definitely it's going to be building and designing that I enjoy that the most.
Fabulous. Rudy, if you go ahead and type your question, we have a question from Lauren ready to go. Did you apply for a NASA internship right after you completed NCAS, or can you apply a year later after you complete NCAS and still get accepted?
I don't mind answering at least first. So for NCAS, immediately after NCAS, I was applying. So I had been applying to OSTEM internships and Pathways internships since like 2020. And I actually had a recruiter get back to me last summer, but I had another internship and decided it wasn't yet the right time because I was committed to another internship. And so what I did was ask to continue communication with this person. And ultimately that same mentor was still interested in me for the spring. So it took me a while to get here, but yes, immediately after NCAS, I put that project on my resume, everything that you did, your role, what you learned, because maybe you don't have an internship experience yet, but your projects, your lab work, your school experience, all of those are important. Any software you might have learned in school or during NCAS, put all of those on your resume. So yes, immediately after NCAS, you can apply.
Thank you.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So this is something that I have heard a bunch of times, and I think it's something that we must keep in mind, especially for like the students. Don't be afraid to apply and get a no or get rejected. Don't get that. Don't feel that that no defines your career or your possibilities to potentially get an internship or continue your career in STEM or any other major. The amounts of no will potentially become yes. So don't feel bad. But then again, I agree with Michelle. Apply. Just apply. See the process. See how they work. See the wording in their internships. See what exactly they're looking for. If you have any coding skills, if you have any analytical skills, if you have any organizational skills, if you have any teamwork skills, that's very important to them. So just apply and do not get discouraged just because you get a no. So.
Yeah, and just to add a little bit more, I applied. I didn't apply right after NCAS. I applied actually a year after because I thought there were some things I was still missing. I had just finished my first semester of college. I didn't have a lot under my belt yet, so I took that extra year to get more experience in a design challenge. And I applied 20 times and only heard back one time. So no's don't really, I think after a while you kind of get used to them, but eventually they will become a yes. And another thing is that apply all the experiences you have, not just school related ones. Like for me, I worked in construction. That was a big part of the reason why I got this internship. I was also a math tutor at a high school and led groups. That's also a reason why I also have this project and even got extended through the summer.
Great advice. No is just a word, so keep going. Jason M., if you would put your question in, please. We have a question from Rudy. It said, did you already have a specific field in mind when you were applying into internships, or did you apply to a wide field of opportunities?
I could take this question. So I specifically looked for engineering. Um, I think mechanical engineering can be very broad and you can dip a little bit in aerospace, electrical, computers. So I specifically went to engineering. A professor helped me. She actually filtered out every engineering internship for me and sent them my way. And I just sent out applications. So I don't know how Kimberly and Michelle did theirs, but I looked for a specific field.
If it's regarding specifically the OSTEM internships, I looked through so many to see anything that I would be interested in, not necessarily that I had all the experience in or that I was good at. I grew up around a shop setting because my father's a welder. So I had the interest of materials and metals and processes, but until NCAS and all that, I wasn't really ready to pursue a career in that. So when I started looking for internships, I thought, well, this is interesting. I am a mechanical engineering student, but anything, it was kind of a wide range. Right now, I'm doing something that involves a lot of stress analysis, something I never thought I would see myself doing. And I was more interested in design. And, you know, you don't know if you like something until you try it. So I took the opportunity, not because I knew everything about it, but because I was interested.
Personally, I applied to only one internship, which is the one that I'm in right now. So I cannot say that I looked through many. I did look based on my NCAS experience. So for NCAS, I was the materials engineer, and I was looking for my team's entire power supply to materials and ensure that all our design was properly done for the type of mission that we wanted and the payload that we had. So based on that, I looked for materials or anything that had to do with hardware and end up here. Then again, with Michelle, you know, I thought I was going to be like doing some like heavy lifting stuff, but to be honest, it's just like testing on materials to ensure, how stable they are, how much can they tolerate in flight. So just based on either experience that you have on NCAS or things that you might like, like Michelle says, you don't have to be an expert in, because many things they are taught to you here. So you just have to put the work in, and don't be scared to apply to something that you never heard before. As long as you're willing to learn, that's something that they enjoy, and they look for people that are teachable, to people that are, I forgot the word that they said, but people that can blend in any aspect that they can.
Great advice. Jason and Brandon, would you please go ahead and type your question in? So our question from Jason says, do you feel that the degree or education you received in school has helped you during your internship?
So I would say yes and no at the same time. So yes, in the base of, it has taught me that I can be teachable. I can take information and transform that information into a product or a solution. But there are many things that you have to be realistic. You're going to learn on the job. You have to be able to not only learn what they teach you, but find things for yourself. So Google, it's a great tool. I'm not going to lie. And sometimes you go to people and you ask them, hey, do you know someone that knows how to do this? People are very approachable. And if you ask them for help, they will. The experience that has helped me, I guess, feel welcome and comfortable in my internship is the work of working in NCAS with many people online. They were not in the same time zone. So being able to do teamwork of people with people that you have never seen in real life, and being able to put that final product and the final design together is a great challenge. You guys don't think much about it, but it is challenging. The experience of being able to, if somebody's unable to pull their weight, sometimes things happen and some teammates had issues during NCAS. We had to pull their weight for a little bit while they resolved their issues, and then you were able to give it back to them. So being able to understand they're part of the group project, and being able to put your effort into it and still continue with the program and your project going, that's something that really helped me understand that, engineering is not at one person's weight, it's an entire team pulling through. So I had a few previous internship before this, but that was in high school years ago. I interned with Schlumberger Limited. It's an oil and gas service company. It definitely helped me understand, the corporate world. But when you come to NASA, you realize that it's not just corporate business world. It's more of an engineering world. So that aspect is we all working towards the same goal and not just working for profit. So that's something that you guys have to be realistic. We are working for engineering and technology advancement, not for profit.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Jamie, if you would go ahead and type your question in. Our question from Brandon says, what was your first internship and what experience do you think what was your first internship and what experience do you think that got you this internship? Did you get any type of internship while in community college or after transferring?
So I can start with that one. My first internship was actually last summer. I was interning for 7 months and they didn't want to let me go. I'm just saying, I loved it. It was the thermoforming industry. So I was a tooling engineer. I learned so much. I wouldn't say necessarily it got me this internship because I knew about this one right before and I had the offer the same week. So this one was delayed, but I can 100% say that that experience was so necessary for me to have before coming here because I learned so much at that internship that I thought, seeing back now how it didn't work out for me to start at NASA last summer, I learned so much in those 7 months that helped me now regarding tooling, just how things work together, how teams work together. And just like Kimberly mentioned earlier, I feel like we had very similar experiences working in the team with all these students across like with different time zones, was very difficult. And that prepared me for my last internship, which prepared me for this internship. So I think everything just happens in the right order. But yeah, my experience was a tooling engineer. And that's very a really good internship to start at if that's what you're interested in. The thermoforming industry is it's interesting. It's great.
Um, to add on, Michelle, this internship, LSTEM internship, is my first internship. I haven't had another internship before this. Also, I got this as a community college student. I'm technically still enrolled at Cerritos College, but I'm in the process of transferring. So admissions are coming through, and I'm deciding on my school right now. So I would say just because you're a community college student, it doesn't hold you back. I think there's still the chance of you doing that. Also, if it's your first internship, you might as well send in the applications, right? They might say no, they might say yes, you just don't know yet.
Thank you again. So if we can have Zuriel go ahead and type yours in. This question from Jamie, I would like each of you to weigh in on, please, because imposter syndrome is a big issue across the board for a lot of people. So it says, kind of mentioned this already, but when you first started internships, did you ever feel like you weren't prepared or qualified as the other people around you? And if so, how did you overcome that?
I could start this one. I could definitely say, yeah, I definitely felt unprepared, right? I'm sure many people experience this as a community college student. You're often talked about your grades, if you're going to get into university, right? Why aren't you at a university and things like that? And then you go to an internship with NASA, and then you're like, oh, wow, these are things I've never seen before. You're probably in a place you've never been in before. So I would say I definitely did have like some sort of syndrome. I felt a little unqualified when first coming here, but like Kimberly said, Google is your best friend, and then people here are very helpful. Uh, Most of the learning will be on the job. I think engineering is that learning on the job. You're not going to learn how to build a rocket ship at, my community college or university. So you'll learn from Google and other people surrounding you. And then to overcome it, I guess everybody finds their own way of dealing with it. For me, it's kind of like you kind of just get used to it, right? You keep going every day. Okay, now I have to learn this. Now I have to practice this. Now I need to talk to this person, see if they know. And you just kind of like push through it and get used to it in a way, and it just goes away. At least from my experience.
To go off of what Eric said, I totally agree with that. I actually still feel that, and I'm almost done. We have a couple weeks left, and it's every day you go back to work and you realize, oh, there's something new that I don't know that I have to learn. Myself and the other interns, we talk to each other to make sure we're all on the same page. And I'm like, I feel this way. Do you feel this way? And they're like, yeah, totally. It took a couple weeks for me to feel like, you know what? I'm not expected to know everything. My advisor's there. My mentor's there. He can guide me, advise me, point me in the right direction. And one of my biggest fears was not knowing enough. And every person that I've reached out to through Teams or like in person has been so willing to help me or at least point me in the right direction. I have not had a no when I've reached out for help by any subject matter expert, any engineer, anyone. So just be prepared to have so much support when you're here. And then I saw one more other part of that question. Oh, there was a second part.
How did
Oh,
you
it's okay.
overcome it?
So overcoming it? Oh, well, it's just like making sure that I do the research, like you both mentioned, Google, YouTube. Yeah. Oh, GPA. I think you asked if the GPA was a problem.
That's our
Oh, that
next
was someone
question.
else. Sorry. Okay.
Well, for me, I will say I still like with Michelle, I agree. I still feel like imposter syndrome hitting hard sometimes, but you have to remind yourself that if you were not ready, opportunities will not present themselves, and if you were not qualified or ready to be qualified for this, you will not get that interview, that call to the opportunity to get an internship. So I think one of the biggest advices I got in from someone here in the division was not all, we don't know everything. Most of the time we have to test things in theory to know everything and to potentially become knowledgeable in the matter. So don't feel that just because you're underqualified, these people were at some point, just like you guys, newbies who didn't know much, and they have 30 years, they have our age and experience. Okay, let's be honest. So just think of yourself that you had this opportunity and you start your first step by being an NCAS. So don't hold back and don't put the brakes yet. Okay, just go with it and you'll be fine. I'm not saying that it goes away, but you eventually just wing it, to be honest.
Thank you. Joseph, if you would go ahead and type your question in, please. Our question from Zuriel says, how important was GPA in the process of acquiring the internship? I don't have the best GPA, however, I do have projects under my belt. So I was just wondering if GPA would have any effect on me getting the internships. Somebody like to take this one?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, Michelle.
So yeah, as far as GPA, okay, I'm gonna share something a little personal, but I'm actually in my early 30s. I started engineering in my late 20s. And before that, I was a liberal studies major. I had an associate's degree. My GPA was somewhere in the low twos. I failed Calc 1 the first time around. And then I was like, you know what? I need to get this together and be accountable and really change something, figure it out. And then since then, I have aced like every level of Calc and FEQ. I really got things together and got my GPA up. Initially, it was somewhere in the low twos. I got my GPA up to like a 3.8 when I graduated county college. So it is possible to do it. When I started applying to internships, I had a 2.9. And that was after I transferred to a 4-year school. Now it is a little higher, but you can still get an internship as long as you have that experience and you can talk about those things because it's cumulative. So of course, some things are going to affect some courses are going to affect your GPA. You can talk about that. Hey, I failed this class the first time around and this is what I did to fix that. And this is what I learned. It really sometimes comes down to that conversation that you're going to have with the hiring manager or your mentor. Let them know that you learned from that mistake and what you're going to do better going forward. All of these things, to me, failure is not really failure. Like, you're learning from this.
And if I could add to that, this is Jessica. Just be aware that sometimes the application websites will filter the GPAs. So if you have a low, like 2.9, maybe not, but lower than that, it might like hide you from the pool of qualified applicants. So just be aware of that. And also, if you do have a low GPA, do not put a 3.0 in its place and lie on your application. Like, be transparent. And if you're contacted, share about, what's been going on, what you're working on, that you're striving to bring it up. Don't, because we do look at your transcript, we look at your resume, we verify the things that you claim on your application. I know we do that at JPL. I don't know what the STEM Gateway folks look at, but it is better to be truthful and transparent. Show what's going on in your life. We've had internships coordinators here work with students who have low GPAs to see, okay, well, can we bring that up a little bit? What's going on? So don't count yourself out, but also know that there's thousands of other students vying for that position as well. And so if you can, work hard, get your GPA up to that 3.0, it would be more ideal as far as being visible in the system. But yeah, you still have a chance, as Michelle said.
I'll jump in here for OSTEM internships. So what I'll say to that is that there are some projects that get over 1,000 applications, and then there are some projects that like randomly only get like 40. So never discount your chances in it. And if you do have a lower GPA, just like Jessica said, definitely be honest about what that GPA is and attach your transcripts. The unofficial ones are totally fine and encouraged to submit those as well. If you are the perfect fit for a mentor and it happens to be a like mentor funded project, then you are much more likely to get that exception or waive that requirement. But that is usually only the case if it's if it's like a little bit under or something of that nature. I would never let that stop you from applying, because if you are a mentor's like top choice and like they're like, I don't care about their GPA, like they have this project under their belt and I really need that type of experience, then they will do their best to make it work. Mentors love having interns, and when they see a motivated, dedicated intern, they really want to make it happen for them. So yeah, that would be my official recommendation. And just backing up what Jessica said about JPL internships, it's pretty similar for OSTEM.
Thank you, everybody, for weighing in on that. If we could have Sophia type your question in. We do have a question from Joseph, and this is for Michelle. It says, I am also a MEC-E major. What coursework best prepared you for your work in structural dynamics?
Okay, so definitely academically, stress analysis was important. I'm so glad I took that a couple semesters ago. I think actually last semester. And then CAD was important. So currently, one of the important things I needed to know was Creo. And I had a lot more experience with SolidWorks. Both of them are good, but if you're going to be working at NASA, just get used to working with Creo. Maybe start that now if you haven't. It's to me, it's like not as user friendly, but it's definitely a powerful tool. So the software, what else? Definitely your fundamentals in math. You don't need to be a genius, but you should know the fundamentals. And strengths of materials was important. And maybe materials and processes as well. That I actually found a lot of things were useful, and terminology that I hear like annealing and process types, they come up all the time here in Marshall. So those are important too.
All right, thank you. I'm sorry, I'm gonna butcher your name here. Bhavin, if you would type your question in. Our question from Sophia, have you met other NCAS alumni in your actual on-site internships that you're in now? Or do you still contact any of your mentors from your program frequently? I assume there has to be some in order for them to invite you to this panel. But I'm just wondering what connections are like once the NCAS program is over.
I actually do have a friend here at Marshall that did NCAS. I believe so. And her name is Pamela Escalante. From what I understand, she's been here 2 semesters and also did NCAS. I believe hers was maybe 2020 or 2021. Yeah. As far as the internship panel, so once I finished NCAS, later on after I got this internship, I had actually received around the same time, I received emails where I believe you're added to a list after you complete NCAS where people can still contact you and say, hey, I know you're a part of NCAS. Are you interested in this opportunity? So just take NCAS very seriously. Do your best. I know it's stressful, and I just think it's such a realistic work experience, and the connections you make are important too, whether it's your friends or the impressions you make on your mentor. As far as my mentor from NCAS, I never saw this person again. I just thought they were great. My specific mentor, but his name was Kevin. He was great, but no, I never saw him again. I have seen people here from NCAS. I've actually seen Lisa when I was doing NCAS. I actually remember that face and that name. So, so you do see them again at some point.
Do you talk?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I do have a friend here. His name is David Bernal. He did NCAS with me. He was actually part of my teammates. He actually got internship last semester, and I did talk with him with NCAS mentor. My mentor was George Salazar. He's actually here in Johnson Space Center. I haven't had the opportunity to go talk to him yet, but now you guys remind me I should, right? Networking people. Networking is really important. So don't do what I just did. Not reach out to your mentor if you get the chance to work in the same center as them. And NCAS, like Michelle said, we do get added and we get newsletters from you guys, and we also get opportunities. I do know we get, when you are here in your internship, NCAS, they send you, the OSTEM, they send you volunteer opportunities. So that's how kind of we engage with other past either NCAS alumni or other interns on their OSTEM. So we get to hang out during volunteering opportunities.
So for me, an NCAS alumni actually recommended NCAS to me straight because I joined NCAS like as soon as I graduated high school in 2020, and then from there I met the mentors for NCAS were never my professors. They were physics professors, but I never had them. And then from there, they also led like design challenges like Micro G. And so throughout, I guess, my whole journey up until this point where I have an internship here, uh, they've helped me out. They helped me out with my resume, my applications, with NCAS. Um, I know recently they have emailed me about this opportunity. So I would say I have communicated with my mentors. Uh, as far as other NCAS applicants that were in my team, I have Virginia's pretty far from California, so I would say I haven't seen anybody from NCAS that was there with me.
All right, thank you. All right, so our next question here, I'm going to paraphrase this one a little bit because our structure of NCAS has changed. So the question says, how was yours mission 2 experience, if you would like to share? So the mission 2 would be, it would have either been the career simulation if you were in that, or VNCAS it was called at the time if you were in that. If you were on site for your event, this won't pertain to you, but if you did one of the virtual NCAS, either the VNCAS or the career sim, if you could talk about that.
I don't mind taking this one. So I did the career simulation in at the end of 2020, beginning of 2021. So for my experience, we actually had teams created kind of like how you guys have right now. And it's with people from all over the US. I remember I had people from Mississippi on my team, some from Michigan, some from Ohio, some from California. And they basically gave you some sort of mission, or they gave us some sort of mission. For us, it was to create a lunar mission using a rover called A-Puffers, which are little two-wheeled rovers. And you have to design it and CAD it and give this mission an objective. So once you land on the moon, where are you going to be on the moon? What are you going to collect? What's the purpose? And how long is this mission supposed to last? So at the end of this, you would give a presentation to a panel of people that are a part of NCAS. I know there's some military people there, some people from NASA, some people from my city actually were also there. So that was my experience. And you also I remember you had to work in different time zones. So sometimes for us, it'd be late at night, early for others, or early morning, late for them. So I remember having that type of organization and communication with them.
So my NCAS experience was in fall of 2020. So it was set up, I would say, like I was compared to a game since it was virtual. We had stringent budgets and sizing constraints throughout for the mission, and ours was a lunar mission. And I'm getting it mixed up maybe with space. Let me just make sure I can separate them. It was a lunar mission. And I remember we had to figure out like power supply, MMRTG. I was also the materials engineer. I know that Kimberly did the same. Basically getting this, maybe it was an orbiter, whatever it was, to the moon. And one issue was that we actually had to change our entire design. So if this is you, if you have to change your entire design, it's not the end of the world and you can figure it out. We actually had some really knowledgeable and skilled students that were able to help come up with some Excel sheet that you can do all of these, how do you explain it? Like figure out what would be the best to fit in our budget, and that ended up working out for us. Kim, you're shaking your head, and I think you might know exactly what I'm saying because I don't know how to explain it because I still don't know that whole thing. But I learned something new that day about Excel. So that was my experience. It was working with a team of I think 12, and we went from 12 to like maybe 8. Like a lot of people dropped off. So we really were like working really hard, picking up each other's slack, staying up, like Eric said, till late hours. Meeting out throughout the week to make sure we all stayed on top of it. And this was all during a semester at school. So on top of that, I was full time. So that was my experience at NCAS. A lot of hard work, learning communication, time management. And it was kind of concurrent to like my schoolwork because I was learning time management with my studies as well. So I think I had 4 or 5 classes that semester. So everything I learned that semester at NCAS also helped me with my classes.
So I have similar experience as you guys. Actually, we also had budget constraints, size constraints, and then we had a wild card that instead of helping us, we had to redo or we have failing or testing a rocket, so we had a wait time apparently. We also used that sheet on the Excel sheet. It was actually like Google Sheet, so we could all like see it together at the same time. And we did different combinations based on power, communication, and a payload, just to ensure that we were under budget and under our weight constraints. So it was really fun. Then again, we stayed up. I remember this one day where we all took 3 hours sleep time. And then we were back on it because we were just trying to like pull through. Thank God none of our teammates dropped, but we only had 2 people who had CAD experience, and they saved us because we were trying to help as much as we could with CAD, but some of us we didn't have experience. So I'll be honest, CAD is really, really needed. So if you guys can learn that, please do. It's really important. So it was very similar, but it was a very rewarding week, especially when you finally saw your final product, your presentation, and when they tell you after the panel, I don't know if I can talk about this. When you present, guys, they will start asking you, and you can tell from the questions whether they realize that your mission fails or your mission is successful. So feeling that the questions were towards successful and just telling us, it looks really good. There's nothing that we can remove or tell you that you guys did it wrong. So that was really rewarding.
All right, thank you. So for our people who are watching here, our students, Kimberly and Michelle went through what you are going through in the exploration sim, and then Eric did the career sim that you're seeing. So that they went through the same pieces. So we're at 9:31 my time, 11:31 Central. So we are out of time. How about a big round of applause for our interns? That was fabulous. Thank you. So sorry we did not get to more questions, but they are interns. They do have work to do as well. So we want to make sure that they can go back to work and get their things done that they need. So I'm going to pass it back over to Sarah Beth and Jessica, if you would like to close us out, please.
Go for it.
I'll leave the last word to you, but I just wanted to say thank you to our NCAS alumni for joining us today. Thanks to Mike for moderating all those questions. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out. You can reach us through Canvas or through your specialist. I know there were a lot of things covered, so feel free to let us know if you have more questions. And I'll pass it to Sarah Beth.
Awesome. Rachel, I see you have your hands up. If you want to put your question in the chat, maybe one of them can answer it before we wrap up. But thank you so much for coming to our awesome interns. I hope that you enjoyed this as much as the students did. And I hope you guys all have a great day, and we will see everyone else for your respective, debriefs and gatherings with your teams. I know we have both exploration and career sim in here today.
Yep. Have a great day, everyone. Keep working on those missions, on your projects. If you're in the exploration simulation, we'll see you tomorrow for our SME presentation at 10 a.m. Central. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.